All rise. Voulez-vous lever? Please be seated. Veuillez vous asseoir.
Thank you very much. We're in open session. Witness, welcome back. Mr. Steinberg, please continue.
Your Honour, I do apologise if I may interrupt my learned friend. There is a matter, Your Honour, which we wanted to place on record, which is in relation to the language of the witness. I'm not certain if it was done in private earlier.
Let's go into private session. The discussion on language was in private session.
Some of these interviews were done in English.
Nous sommes en audience publique.
The court officer, we are in open session, Your Honor. Thank you.
Witness, we're now back in public session, so you know. Remember, just listen to the question carefully and answer briefly. Just give the answer the question requires. Just that answer. And stop and wait for the next question. Do you understand? Thank you.
Answer, yes, I've understood. Thank you. Now, Mr. Witness, you spoke before the luncheon adjournment about the Kalenjin people, and you also mentioned certain other subgroups, such as the Nandi and the Kipsigis. I don't believe it's in dispute that the Kalenjin people are made up of a number of subgroups. Is that correct? Answer, no, that's not right. In actual fact, there's not something that you would call the Kalenjin people. It's something that Mr. Ruto started. It was the politicians who wanted that sort of expression so that they could refer to people as Kalenjin. Why was that? Why was that? Answer. That's my point of view in relation to how that began. All right. But this notion of the Kalenjin people, who was that made up of? Answer, no, that's not right. Please listen to the question. I don't think you've heard the question. Please just listen carefully. This concept of the Kalenjin that you say the politicians made up, who were included in that group known as the Kalenjin? Answer. There is a sect, the Nandi, the Kapsigis, the Marakwet, the Pokot. the Wasade, Wagol, and the Sabaot. The last three, that last group is considered sometimes as a single group, but they are different. And then there are also the Robo. Interpreter correction, the word at the beginning was seven, not sect.
All right, thank you. Now, you mentioned before the lunch break, and I'll read from the real-time transcript, page 41, from the top of the page. Among the Nandi people, if a leader of something, well, if someone is a leader, no one can contradict him. My question is, which group did Mr. Ruto belong to? Which subgroup?
Alikuwa kwa kikundi ya Kalenjin.
Answer, he belongs to the Kalenjin group.
Yes, but you've told us the Kalenjin are made up of a number of subgroups. I want to know which subgroup, sub-ethnicity of the Kalenjin did Mr. Ruto specifically belong to?
Hapo sasa kikundi ya Kalenjin ilikuwa imeundwa.
Answer, that is when the Kalenjin group was created. That is to say, Ruto was in those groups of Kalenjin people.
All right, Mr. Witness, I don't think you're understanding the question. You said there were 7 sub-tribes, including Kipsigis, Pokot, Sabaot, Nandi, Marakwet, and various others. Which of those subgroups did Mr. Ruto come from?
Nandi.
Answer, he comes from the Nandi subgroup.
All right, thank you. Mr. Witness, I'm going to ask you please to try your very best to listen to the question and make sure you understand it before you answer. If there's anything you don't understand, please ask me and I'll clarify it, all right? Okay. Now, you told us about an occasion at the Eldoret Sports Ground where Mr. Ruto was recognized as the leader of the Kalenjin. Are you able to tell us roughly when this was? If not the exact date, then what year did this happen?
Answer, I no longer recall the date. I think it was in 2005, before the referendum. After the interpreter in the Swahili booth corrects, after the referendum. That happened a while ago.
All right, good. And besides the television, did any other media carry or broadcast this event?
Answer, I haven't understood your question.
You said this event was covered on, you watched this event on the television. What I want to know was this event also covered or broadcast in other media, press, such as newspapers, radios, etc.?
ilikuwa kwa magazeti hata radio pia
Answer. That was published in the daily newspapers. Even it was also broadcast by the radio stations, in particular Cass FM. And I don't remember what other places it was published in.
Thank you, Your Honours. Private session, please.
Private session.
Nous sommes en audience publique, Monsieur le Président.
The court officer, we are in open session, Your Honour.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Witness, can you please tell the court, without giving at this stage the location, was there any occasion when you attended a gathering or a meeting or similar occasion where Mr. Ruto made a speech?
ndio nilihudhuria.
Answer, yes, I did go.
And if I can ask you to look at page 2 of the PIS, and can you tell the Chamber, please, if the location of this meeting, the area where this meeting took place, is on the PIS form?
Ni namba sita.
Answer, it's number 6.
And where specifically was the meeting held? What was the venue of the meeting? For instance, it could be a park or a stadium or a hospital, something like that. What was it?
Ilikuwa ni shuleni.
Answer, it was at a school.
And what type of a meeting was this? What was the purpose of this meeting?
Ilikuwa ni ya Haram Bay.
Answer, it was a Haram Bay.
And I think it's common cause that a Haram Bay is a fundraiser. Is that correct?
Ndio hivyo.
Answer, that's right.
When was this meeting? When was this Haram Bay? When did it take place?
Gawaja sikumbuki tarehe vizuri. Ilikuwa
I can't really remember the date, but I believe it was in October of 2007. I believe that it was around the 15th.
Okay. And who was the master of ceremonies at this Haram Bay? Who was in charge of the proceedings?
ilikuwa ni Chief Lagat alafu
Answer, there was Chief Lagat. And then he gave the microphone to Christophe Chicario. Jeriot correction from the Swahili interpreter.
Your Honours, if I may just raise a matter. Could we perhaps go into private session, Your Honour, so I can raise this?
Private session.
Nous sommes en audience publique.
The court officer, we are in open session.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. Now, when I started off asking you about this occasion, this Haram Bay, I asked you whether there were any occasions where you heard Mr. Ruto speak. Did Mr. Ruto, in fact, then speak at this Haram Bay?
Hauli ni kusema nini?
Answer. Could you ask your question more clearly?
Did Mr. Ruto, in fact, speak, make a speech at this Haram Bay?
Aliongea.
Answer. Yes, he did speak.
And can you recall, Mr. Witness, what did Mr. Ruto say during this speech?
Nakumbuka gawaje useme labda itakuwa tofauti kidogo lakini
Answer. I remember what he said. However, I'm not going to faithfully report what he said, but I do remember the general content. He said that the ODM and another parties, and he said our party, he meant the people who were in the audience, most of whom were Nandi. He added that no one would have any reason to go to another political party. The Kikuyu party, when we had our political party, and he said, and that was when we were at place number 6. And that place, number 6, is not part of the places where the Kikuyu live. He added, I can't make this out very well. I can't see very well. The name on the list. But I will remember. He added, we have no reason, and if necessary, we will drive the Kikuyu out.
Drive the Kikuyu out of where?
alikuwa akizungumza.
The witness, that is what he said.
What did you understand him to mean when he said, we will, if necessary, we will drive the Kikuyu out?
Alimaanisha ni kutoa Wakikuyu kwa eneo letu.
Answer, he meant that we had to drive out the Kikuyu to another region and send them back to their region, namely Central Province. Interpreter correction, and an earlier reply, the witness said we have no reason to follow the Kikuyu, and if necessary we will drive the Kikuyu out. Line 17 of the French transcript.
And why did he say why it was necessary to drive the Kikuyu out back to Central?
Sababu kuu ni kwamba Wakikuyu hawakuwa wakipigia kura mtu wa kabila.
Answer: the Kikuyu couldn't elect anyone else who was not part of their ethnic group.
Can you recall anything else that he said during that speech?
Kabla siku chache kabla hiyo tarehe.
Answer: a few days before that date. They were all part of the same political party, ODM Kenya, and Kenyatta was also part of that group. At one particular time, the ODM Kenya dissolved. Later, Uru joined his former political party, KANU, and Ruto and Raila remained in the ODM, and Kalonzo stayed in ODM Kenya. The Swahili interpreter, did not hear the last part of the reply provided by the witness.
All right, Mr. Witness, the interpreter didn't get everything you said, but first of all, I think one correction at line 10 to 11. I believe I heard you say later Uhuru joined. At one particular time, ODM Kenya dissolved, and later Uhuru joined another political party. Is that what you said?
Sio vile Uhuru alikuwa na chama yake.
Answer: no. Ruru had his own political party, KANU. And KANU allied itself with another political party. And that was to support the president of the day.
And the president of the day, I think we all know, was Mr. Kibaki. Is that right?
Ndio hivyo.
Answer: that's right.
All right. Now, Mr. Witness, I started off by asking you if you can recall anything else that Mr. Ruto said, and you provided this explanation of the various political parties leading up to the election. What is it that you wanted to get at?
Answer: I said this. Mr. Ruto told us at that time, you see, Uhuru will help his father. I don't remember whether he was talking about his father or someone else, or his brother. He gave the example of how the Kikuyu stuck together. They stuck together.
All right. What language was Mr. Ruto speaking when he said these things?
Answer: he was speaking in Nandi, and then he spoke in English. But It was really particularly intended for the journalists.
And when he said the Kikuyu had to be, let me get your exact words again. When he said the...
Mr. President, could I request that the laptop that is obstructing the witness could be moved a little?
Thank you. And when you said that the Kikuyu had to be driven out back to Central Province, what language was he speaking when he said that?
Your Honour, if I can object to that, the Kikuyus being driven to Central Province was his interpretation, not the words used by Mr. Ruto.
Oh.
We'll need to clarify that. We'll clarify that, but in the meantime, we should also note, since Mr. Kinkato made the request about the screen, it was adjusted, just for the record. But proceed.
Thank you. I'll rephrase. When he said, when Mr. Ruto said, if necessary, we will drive the Kikuyu out, what language was that said in?
Answer, he said it in Nandi.
How many people were attending this Haram Bay, Mr. Witness?
Watu walikuwa wengi.
Answer, there were many people. It's difficult to give you an estimate because I might get it wrong. There were a great many people, and they even occupied the road that led towards that place, towards the school.
Is it possible for you to estimate a range of people? So, for instance, one might say between 10 and 20, 50 and 100, 100 and 200, 300 and 500, something like that?
Sioni vizuri kama nikikadiria.
Answer, no, I don't think I could give you an estimate. All I can tell you is that there were a lot of people because they occupied the schoolyard and even spilled out and occupied the road nearby. And I think you'll understand what I mean when I say that.
Very well. What was the reaction of the crowd when Mr. Ruto said that if necessary we will drive the Kikuyu out?
Walimshangilia kwa furaha.
Answer, well, the people who were calling that out were full of joy.
I'm not sure I understand. What do you mean the people who were calling that out? Who was calling what out?
Nimesema walimshangilia Bwana Ruto.
Answer, I said that the crowd hailed Mr. Ruto.
I see.
Yani walifurahia.
Answer, they were very happy.
hata kidogo nimesahau.
The witness continuing. I forgot. I think he even said, that those who support PNU are not normal people. They are crazy.
Thank you. Is there anything else you wish to add that Mr. Ruto said?
Answer. I've told you what I remember for the time being.
And to your understanding, how were the Kikuyu to be driven out of the area?
Your Honour, I think this is inviting for speculation.
Indeed.
Is that a ruling, Your Honour?
Yes.
As the court pleases. Very well. Let me move on. Mr. Witness, apart from the crowd that were present at this Haram Bay, was there any other reaction in Turbo to Mr. Ruto's speech after that Haram Bay?
Sikuweza kuchua Turbo kwa wakati huo kwa sababu
I was not in a position to know what transpired in Turbo. You see, it was night time and it was not possible to go to Turbo as such. And I didn't learn of anything relating to such possible reactions.
Mr. Witness, I'm not necessarily talking about the same night, but after the Haram Bay, did anything happen in Turbo after Mr. Ruto made the speech about the Kikuyu being driven out?
Your Honour, I think that's a bit of a far link. I think there must be a few more steps before we reach what happens in Turbo.
The question was proper. Seeing how the witness deals with it. But before we move away from the speech, witness, you said that you were not in a position to repeat precisely what Mr. Ruto had said in his speech. But then you gave testimony of what you understood, whatever he said, to have meant, and that meant that the Kikuyu would need to be driven out. Did I understood you correctly that this is what you said during your testimony?
Yes.
Can you try telling us, if you can, what words he had used that gave you that understanding that he was saying that the Kikuyus needed to be driven out? What was it that he said that gave you that understanding?
kwa lugha lugha yangu ama
The witness, do you want me to answer you in my mother tongue? Or should I speak in another language? Which language should I use to answer you?
Let's try your... Now, let's do it this way. What language was said that Mr. Ruto spoke in that conveyed that impression to you?
lugha ya Nandi.
Spoke in Nandi.
Now, we will want you to use the words in Nandi that you say would have conveyed the meaning to the effect that the Kikuyus would have to be driven out. What were the words in Nandi?
Ogemande kuguejo.
Ogemandi Oguyu.
Can you say it again?
Ogemande kuguejo.
Ogemand Ogwechu.
Mr. Kiginkawa, can you assist us as you've done in the past?
The first word is O-N-G-E. The second one is M-A-N-D-E. The third word is K-O-K-O-E-C-H-U.
Witness, I'm going to try my Nandi on you. What I have on my notepad is Onge Mande Kokoechu. Was that what you said?
Hivyo kawaida matamshi zi kama yangu.
Yes, that is correct. Even though your pronunciation is different from mine.
Thank you. And what do you say those words mean?
Tuwafurushe hawa Wakikuyu.
Drive out those Kikuyu.
Thank you. Mr. Steinberg, proceed.
Thank you, Your Honours. I wonder if I mightn't even be able to get some more precision. Mr. Witness, you said that you, well, at the time you made your statements to the prosecution, were you able to recall the words that Mr. Ruto said when he made this speech about removing the Kikuyu?
Sijakuelewa.
Witness, I have not understood your question.
You said when you started testifying about this incident that you might not be able to faithfully recall everything that Mr. Ruto said. What I'm asking you is, at the time when you made your witness statement to the prosecution investigators, were you able to recall the words Mr. Ruto used in his speech?
Tafadhali swali haijakuja vizuri.
The witness. Once again, I did not quite understand your question.
All right. The question the prosecutor was asking you was this. Before you came to court, maybe a little while back,
Your Honours, the statement I'm interested in was in 2011.
several years ago, you met with the prosecutor, investigators, and you were having a discussion with them, and they asked you questions, and you gave them answers, and they wrote your answers down, or even recorded it. The prosecutor's question was, at that time, during that period, did you tell the prosecutor investigators the words that Mr. Ruto had used to say, drive the Kikuyu out? Do you remember having given those words to the prosecution investigators at that time in the past?
Samahani, tumekutana nao
The witness. I'm sorry. I met the investigators on 2 occasions. Which occasion are you referring to?
On any of those 2 occasions, do you recall giving the investigators the words that Mr. Ruto had used?
Your Honor, I think there's a problem here because
niliwaambia
because there's more than 2 occasions on which the witness has.
Witness, what was your answer?
nilisema niliwaambia.
The witness, I told them that.
Thank you. Your Honours, I'm going to ask at this stage, rather than rely on the witness's memory now, to show the witness a passage from his statement of the 26th, 27th and 30th of May 2011 and ask whether that will refresh his memory as to the exact words used by Mr. Ruto.
Your Honor, we object to that because the most recent version of Mr. Ruto's speech was dealt with in interviews in 2014, where he explained certain discrepancies and why his previous account of the speech was false. So in fairness to the defense and also the witness, perhaps my learned friend should take the witness to that account of 2014.
And he gave different accounts too.
And there is also some explanation given in the proofing session, Your Honor, so perhaps my learned friend could also take him there.
Dealing precisely with the matter.
Exactly, Your Honor.
Your witness, in witness proofing, the witness did confirm these words. And if he says anything other than that, then he will have the opportunity to explain that now, and the counsel can obviously cross-examine him on any discrepancies.
Indeed. We will proceed with the memory refreshing exercise.
I'm grateful, Your Honours. I'm not sure which court officer to address. I presume Mr. Court Officer in the remote location. Can I ask you to please call up the latest redacted version of KenOTP 00530256. And if you could just display the front page of that document. redacted version. I hope the signature is visible. You see? And Mr. Witness, can you please tell me when you have that in front of you, or Mr. Court Officer?
Document is being presented to the witness. Front page.
Mr. Witness, you'll see at the bottom of the page there are certain initials. Do you recognize any of those?
And bayana alama za jina.
The witness, yes, I can see my initials.
And I won't read them out because we're in public session, but are your initials the one appearing on the left, at the bottom of the page on the left? Was there an answer?
I had Sawa in.
Nani
Was that what? Did you say yes? That's your initial on the left, witness?
yangu.
Witness, yes.
Thank you. Mr. Court Officer, can we have the next page, 0257, please? Do we have that displayed?
Yes, counsel, the page was displayed.
Thank you. Mr. Witness, do you see the dates at the top of that page, second line, 26, 27, and 30th of May 2011?
Ninaona.
Yes, I can see them.
And Mr. Witness, can you confirm that is your signature appearing next to your name in the middle of the page?
Yangu.
The witness, yes, that's my signature.
All right. Do you confirm this is a statement you made on those dates to OTP investigators?
Ndio.
Answer, yes.
All right. Could you call up then, please, the next page, Mr. Court Officer, 0258, and specifically from paragraph 6 onwards?
Page is being displayed.
And could you read, please, paragraphs 6, 7, 8, and 9? And let us know when you're finished, please. In fact, just 6, 8, and 9. Don't worry about 7.
Okay.
Mr. Witness, does that refresh your memory as to the words used by Mr. Ruto at the Haram Bay?
Equally.
Yes, that's correct.
And what were those words then?
Maana ya kusema Wakikuyu watoke, maanake
He said that the Kikuyu should leave, meaning that Majimbo was something that politicians said on a daily basis. When I say Majimbo, everyone would understand what that means. And that is how he came to use another example, referring to other regions or to another region, say the region where we are. And he said, who are the people in that region? Are there not people in that area who have names belonging to those who are in Central? So he said that too, and then went on to ask whether there was another region in Central. And he said that some names, such as Kimayo, and then he also asked whether a Nandi in Central would live in similar freedom as the Kikuyus who are living in the Rift Valley.
All right, what exactly did he say about Kimayo, for instance?
aliuliza kama kuna Kimayo mwingine kule Central.
He asked a question. Is there any Kimayo in Central? Is there another Kimayo in Central? And here I use the word Kapoyo. This was referring to the Kikuyus.
The name Kimayo, what language is that? What is Kimayo?
Your Honor, can I request the statement be taken off the screen for the witness, please?
Yes, court officer, you can remove the statement from the screen, or at least adjust the screen so he's not distracted by it.
Yes, Mr. President.
Can you tell the court what is or where is Kimayo?
Unamaanisha maana ya jina Kimayo ama namna gani?
Are you asking for the meaning of Kimayo, or are you now asking a different question?
Well, let me ask this question first. What language is the name Kimayo? What language is that?
Kimayo iko kwa majina karibu mbili, Nandi na Marakwet.
Kimayo is located in Nandi and Marakwet country.
Mr. Steinberg, 1 second. Mr. Ken, you had put in a request for some time towards the end of today's proceedings. Do you still want, is it that urgent, or is it something that can wait until tomorrow?
Mr. President, it can be done tomorrow morning. If it's preferable to the court.
Mr. Steinberg, would this be a convenient place to stop so we can take up Mr. Ken's matter and move fresh tomorrow with the witness testimony?
Not especially convenient, Your Honours, but I'm aware of what Mr. Khan wants to request, and I think it's probably best to deal with it this afternoon rather than wait till the morning.
All right. Witness, we will release you for today, and you'll rejoin us tomorrow morning. Overnight, please do not discuss your testimony with anyone. Do you understand?
Yeah.
The witness, yes, I understand you.
Very much, and court officer, you may leave the witness out of the room. Mr. Khan, would this be in private or in open session?
Mr. President, it can be done in public session, I think.
President, I'm sorry, I apologize. Should counsel remain in the transmission room? Or
yes.
Can we just...
Yes, he may remain in the transmission room.
Thank you.
Is the witness out of the room?
Yes, Mr. President, I confirm the witness has been escorted out.
Thank you very much. Mr. Khan?
Yes, Mr. President, I'm most grateful for the time. Mr. President, as Your Honours are aware, Mr. Ruto has been required to be here for the next 5 days. Your Honours, it came to my attention yesterday and to Mr. Ruto's attention last week, at the end of last week, that in fact the President of the Republic of Kenya was scheduled to attend, or is scheduled to attend, the World Economic Forum in Davos in Switzerland. When Mr. Ruto told the President last week, I think it was on Friday or Thursday, that he would be out of Kenya this week because of court, the issue of attendance at the Davos summit came up for discussion. Your Honour, what my request is in a nutshell is that Kenya is due to attend that summit on Wednesday, Thursday and Friday of this week. Matters have been discussed with the Foreign Ministry, and I'm asking that Mr. Ruto be excused Thursday and Friday to attend, in place of the President, the World Economic Forum in Davos. Your Honours will be aware from open sources that many heads of state and heads of government are attending, and given the very tumultuous economic state of the world, the aspects of discussion include issues of currency fluctuations and investment. Your Honour, this is an important matter that engages the Republic of Kenya. We can't have, it's difficult for the President and the Deputy to be both out of the Republic at the same time, and for that reason I'm asking that Your Honours excuse Mr. Ruto on Thursday and Friday. That would allow him to leave Wednesday after court to Switzerland, to Davos, and have the meetings and make his presentations at the World Economic Forum on Thursday and Friday. So, Your Honours, that's my application. These are, of course, a very important annual event, perhaps one of the most important annual events that engages the global economic community, and it is one that the Republic of Kenya wishes to be properly represented at by the Presidency. So, Your Honour, that's my application. Your Honour, he would have sat through quite a bulk of the examination in chief of this witness, because it will be all of today, all of tomorrow and all of Wednesday. So that's my application.
Mr. Steinberg?
Well, firstly I should observe that Mr. Ruto's presence here this week was at the specific request of the defence, who asked that he should be allowed to attend for the testimony of this witness rather than the prior witness, who did not engage him in the case as much. It is Your Honour's ruling that the witness should attend, the accused should attend for 5 days at the beginning of each session. From the prosecution's perspective, it really doesn't matter that much which 5 days the accused attends. It would seem that this witness is likely to continue into the next week, so if Mr. Ruto were to be excused on Thursday and Friday and attend on Monday and Tuesday, then the prosecution would have no objection to that.
Mr. Can you speak to that part of it?
Mr. President, if it's required that Mr. Ruto attend on Monday and Tuesday next week, in lieu of Thursday and Friday, he will do so if the court insists that that's required.
Mr. Can, we have excused Mr. Ruto.
Indeed.
Having him to attend proceedings 5 days once in a while is not too much an imposition on him. You do understand that, don't you?
Mr. President, I understand the ruling of the court, and I'm grateful for the consideration thus far given to various submissions that I've made. So, Your Honours, if the court is minded to excuse Mr. Ruto on Thursday and Friday, he would be here on Monday and Tuesday, if that's required.
We've not made a ruling. I just asked a question, and then we will return on this matter tomorrow morning.
I'm most grateful.
Go. Mr. Narasategui, sorry, I'm just reminded that was not intentional. Proceed, please, if you have any observation on this.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your Honours, we do not in particular any specific observations to make, but on behalf of the victims, we would be satisfied to proceed as long as these proceedings of this court goes as planned. So we don't have particular objection to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, completely different issue. Just an indication from the prosecution if they have an estimate of how soon they can finish in evidence in Kivu.
We will take that tomorrow morning. The court will rise now.
All rise. We will obey.